Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to redefine yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will feel free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. 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 It's time to start doing the right thing. So trust your instincts, stop listening to others, and own your decisions. People will always tell you what to do, being and how to live. So let's create space for what matters most to you. You'll be glad you did. Now start claiming your time and your mental well-being by saying no more. No more. Say it loudly and proudly. In other words, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
All right, welcome. It seems like I have the wrong camera on here, so let me fix that. There we go. That's better. All right, welcome everyone out in chat. In addition to changing the camera, I need to cam down 1 second. Be right back. And now I'm back, just like that. Everything's cool. Welcome, guys. Sorry, today is a little bit off my game, and I have to quit at. I have to dip out around 2 o'clock, so it's going to be a quick show, just a couple hours, and we'll get there from here. All right, so I see Michigan Christian drop by. That's awesome. He was the first one here today. Ghost 1978 is in the house. And let's see, we got Mr. Boulay and TR Finley and 13, Bujikon and Damien from the parkour guy. And by the way, again, I tell you, he has a channel. It's pretty cool. When I get a chance, I do watch it. It's well worth the sorry. And yeah, so it's a good deal. Mr. Mister's here. Kevin L is here. And Angel Berber is here. By the way, Kevin, our buddy Jim was just by, and we talked a little bit about you. Not too bad, not just a little rough up. Nothing serious. And yeah, we're doing good today, guys. We're gonna make it happen. Make it happen. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So I feel like I'm probably missing something, but that's okay. Yeah. Let's see. Clover Tack is bothering me, but that's okay. Midnight New Time. Good day, sir. How are you? Steve Easy. Good to see you, sir. Hopefully you bring Mikey balls in with you. We all need a few more balls, I guess. And I see Heartbender out there. Good to see you, sir. Yeah, so cool beans. Cool beans. All right. Time stands still for no man, as they say. Been a busy morning. I was on somebody else's stream for a little while. I did, of course, I did my morning workout. My morning workout went, I need to get with Glenn. Speaking of Glenn, I need to get himself in here. I need to speak with Glenn a little more about how to restructure my workouts. I'm not doing terrible, but I'm at the same time, I could be doing better, and I need to make that happen. So, yep, indeed. How is everyone today? I'm doing well. How's everybody? Rousing response. All right. Whew. A lot of stuff out there today, guys. The Kamala thing came out. I don't know how many people have been paying attention to that. I don't know how much of that is true or manufactured. I don't think anybody does at this point. I'd be very interested in hearing how people think about that. Whether that is the misstep that a lot of people seem to think it is. I don't really have an opinion on it right now. I don't have enough information, really. So there are probably people that have paid way more attention than I have to it over the weekend. Just the way that goes. And yeah. It is really nice weather, Steve Easy. I don't know where you're at, but here in Tennessee, it's been great. The weather is great. So Cam the King is in the house, and yes, people are stupid. That's an accurate point. But it does affect the way people are voting. Not so much on the right side, I don't think. I don't think finding out Kamala is an idiot helps the right. I mean, I don't think it moves the needle as far as we're concerned, and I don't know that that finding out she's an idiot and has done really questionable things and lied and all the other nonsense that just almost daily seems to come out. I'm not sure that moves the needle either. But what I'm curious about, and maybe you guys can help me out with this, what I'm kind of curious about is, do you think that anything right now that's coming out, and like, and none of and what's interesting is a lot of stuff is not being vetted. The And so, do you guys think, how much does this move the needle for you guys? Anson Knowles makes a great point here. This is such an important point, by the way. The stock market is going nuts for Trump media and his other businesses. It is moving the most for Trump media, but all of his other businesses are going strong. The View on Joe podcast has been a big win for Trump and anyone holding his stock, anyone that backed him. Yes, politics is so tribal these days. I don't see much moving the needle at this point in the election. Yes, Steve, that is a great point. However, we have the one thing that those of us who have a very a strong stance, one of the things that we often fail to realize, I find myself doing it occasionally, we fail to realize that there are people out there that vote with their gut, so to speak, that are not invested in politics. They don't actually, they literally they can change their mood day to day. Welcome, TR Finley. How are you? I mentioned in the opening, but I'm glad to see you out there. And Cam, I don't think that you're being dramatic at all. I don't think you're being dramatic. I think that there is this is the reality that we live in now. It seems odd, I think, to a lot of people, and I'm not going to do the old man thing of saying back in my day, because honestly, there were just as many idiots in my day, right? I mean, I grew up in the 80s, man. Our hairstyles alone negate half the population from ever voting, or should. And yet here we are, we're all adults now. Most people are, I did grow up in the 70s as well, but those were bowl cuts. That's a different thing. But I grew up in the 80s. I started voting, started voting, and I started voting in 89, so still 80s. And the reality is, man, is that every generation has a big chunk of idiots. People that are easily swayed, they go with their gut, they listen to rhetoric, or they don't vote at all because they can't understand it. They don't want to take the time to understand it, and they're afraid of pulling the wrong switch. And I feel like that just kind of saying, well, the kids these days, right? Am I right? Kids these days, am I right? Of course I'm right. I'm always right. But that's beside the point. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to say that, but at the same time, these are the same people that are the ones that make the difference in the election. These are the same people that will literally, like, on a whim, change the course of history. And we kind of got to take those guys seriously. We kind of have to look at what is in the news today that's going to trip their trigger, right? I think we have to do that. These whippersnappers have no idea what's going on. That's probably true. I agree with Cam. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Cam's right. Mr. Mister's right. Look, all you guys are right. I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. I just have to point out the fact that unfortunately these people get a vote. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm not looking at, is this going to convince Anson Knowles to change directions? It's not. Anson Knowles made up his mind, and unless something really dramatic and over the top and just ridiculous happens, his mind's made up. He's going to do what he's going to do. You're not changing it. But Anson Knowles is one guy that has already made up his mind. There are a bunch of Anson Knowles out there. Already made up their mind. I've made up my mind. Everybody's made up their mind. But what about, and this is who we have to be concerned about, what about the people who just vote based on popularity? What about the people who vote based simply on how they feel? How about all the people out there, and you know some, I know you do, that literally have no investment in society at all? You know, they don't really care, because at the end of the day, how does it affect their daily lives? And to be honest with you, politicians on both sides of the aisles, Democrat and Republican, have done a fantastic job of making sure that it doesn't make a difference to them. Nothing happens. Right? Yeah, that's funny. Explain to a kid today about picking his own switch. It's a special kind of torture, but it's effective. You think, what's the point of me taking a day away from running my business, lining my pockets to go cast a vote? 8 stupid people cancel out my 1 vote. There's way more stupid people. Yeah. I mean, but I don't think there are way more stupid people. I don't think there are way more stupid people. I do believe that there are way more people out there that have picked sides. And I think that so I do believe, Cam, I believe that you are right. When we talk Clinton, Bush, when we talk Obama, everybody else, when we talk about these different when we talk about these different aspects, there was fewer people locked in, and a larger amount of people who were not easily swayed, but kind of, there were a lot more fence sitters, I think. Well, as a matter of fact, I think the polls showed that, right? And now we're so polarized that the land, the people that land in the middle and are truly swayable moment to moment, I just think that there are less of those people. I think there are less of those people. I think that they have I think they have more power, because because there are less of them to vote, so every one of those votes matters more than it did before. Let me slow down and read a little bit of this chat. You guys have been going crazy. I'm going to have to go into slow mode here. Let's see. Cam the King, yeah, I already read that. Here in North Carolina, yeah. Voting has broken records. That's a real, I mean, and it's crazy how early and fast it broke records. That it's crazy how fast that happened. You can't say switch here without the police knocking. It's gotten bad in Dallas. They find them everywhere. That's probably true. Yeah, you're not going to get to. Okay, what am I getting you to agree to? Harris 24. They don't blow. They suck. That's funny. Stupid people just get the most attention, but they are not the majority. True. I don't think the undecided voter is a majority anymore, or even the largest amount of voters. I just stand in line at the grocery store and look around and listen to the conversations being had, then come back and tell me they're not way more stupid people than smart. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said there are less undecided versus decided, right? We can claim that that they're stupid people everywhere, but that's the thing. That's the real thing. You get what I'm saying. But there are probably a lot more normal people that are just scared to voice their opinion. That's true. They want to be liked. Yes, that's true. I agree. I mean, I can agree with you on that. I don't think that's I don't think you're wrong on that. Some states vote differently down ballot and other things on the ballot, like weed legalization, other things. That's true. I have a pizza or PTZ on an eve that looks right up the dead end road to the voter poll by my house. Okay. I don't understand that, but okay. How would I suggest dealing with an ex who's voting for Kamala despite our son being of draft age? She's way beyond childbearing, but totally consumed on the abortion topic. Interesting. Wow. That's a tough one there, man. Give me a minute. I'll think about that. That's true, Cam. We got a lot of truisms going on here. Yeah, so the hot button abortion issue is different. I don't even know how I'm gonna. The problem I think here to realize is that it doesn't matter whether or not Camel Toe gets into office. She can't do anything about abortion. Trump didn't do anything about abortion. Kamala can't do anything about abortion. All they can do, well, actually, they can't do anything, right? The Supreme Court did that, and it did the right thing, put it back to the states to decide. It's never going to be a national issue. It's not it's not listed federally. It's never going to be made a federal law. There's not a good winning path forward. I think the cost would be very high for the Democrats to try and get that passed. So I would argue, and I really hate to say this, but I would try and use some logic and just say point blank that it doesn't matter if you vote for Kamala because she can't, everything she says about abortion, she can't do anyway. So, that's the easiest, that would be my easiest, least offensive advice. So, and I definitely would not, I would definitely remind her that Kamala is exceedingly like us to actually involve us in war, like war. And while I don't know that they would institute a draft, certainly the reality that there are a lot of young men might be called up to serve is real. It's a very real thing for that to happen, and probably ought to really put a lot of thought into there. I missed some chats. I got to go back now. You guys are rocking this morning. I'm telling you, you guys are on it. Why is this not working? And John Deadman makes a good. John Deadman, welcome back, sir. I told you were not banned. You were not banned. You were fine. They did time you out, I think, because you were kind of going after Glenn for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But yes, you are welcome back. You're welcome here anytime. I checked and you were never banned. Raging Patriot is correct. Close your legs. That solves the problem for sure. Yeah, ask her how she feels about a powerful federal government and talk about states' rights. My sister is big on the abortion issue too, and it's devastating here in Michigan. Yeah, that's true. That's all true. Michelle, welcome. Welcome. It's been a minute since we've seen you. Yes, that is yeah, he can be, I mean, he can be for them, but I don't think that changes his position. Um the I don't I don't see either any of those issues moving that actually move the needle, but that's okay. That is okay. So, guys, since this is going to be in a truncated show, if we have anybody that'd like to come up early, um, I'm just don't want to get tied up into a long monologue. So, if anybody would like to come up and chat, that will be great. And if not, that's fine too. I'll just sit here and I'll run my mouth. I'll answer questions. So Michelle's welcome to come up. She hasn't been up in a while. Tide is changing. I met a 23-year-old college student at a local university last night to buy a fish finder. Oh, there we go. What kind of fish finder did you buy? About the chicks in his. In his school being crazy boss babe. They're all indoctrinated. What kind of fish finder? Yeah, I gotta truncate the show, guys. I didn't know, but I guess the schedule just kind of changed quickly. Michigan Christian, you can come up as well. You're probably at work though. My wife has an earlier flight today than what we thought she was going to have, and so I have to take her to the airport, and so I need to leave it. I need to jump off at 2. So yeah, come on up, Michigan Christian, and Michelle, if you would like to come up, that would be fine. You are always entertaining. So we'll just get people here earlier. Hi, Nate Lieb. Good to see you, sir. Coming over from whatever. Excellent. Yes, I'm not in chat as much anymore. I used to really like be in chat when I had some time, but I'm very busy these days. So if you'd like to, you're welcome to come up on the show as well. Mods have the link. So if for those of you who do not know how, if you want to come up on the show and be up on the stage and hang out and be cool, all you really need to do is to catch a mod and say, hey, I'd like to go up. They'll vet you quickly, usually on Discord, and then no, I'm not dying. Thank you. I'll live a long time. And but yeah, if you guys want to come up, that's I need to move the show along faster than normal today. So I also need way more caffeine, and I don't have any in here. So fortunately, I left all the caffeine in all the caffeinated drinks in the office. All right, Mr. Boulay, have fun. You need to come up on panel soon, sir. You've been asked. You've been asked, and I know you want to, but I know you're also busy. So do the best you can, sir. Also, be warned that as normal, Brian have the link and it could pop on at any moment without warning completely. Although they normally do it in the evening shows, it is possible in the daytime. Mr. Boulay, you are certainly welcome, sir. You are certainly welcome. Mr. Boulay has been an asset to the show virtually since the beginning. Michelle is in the house. How are you, Michelle?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, holy shit. Works.
You don't have a cool little avatar. It's just an M.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I'm not anywhere near my
Ah,
setup. So I
that's
might even
okay.
be squirrely and drop on and off like crazy too.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I've just got. I'm on such a limited schedule today. I just kind of. I'm burning through. I burned through the intro. I burned through my monologue, and now I'm burning through guests. So
Nice.
it is what it is. So how's the bird? Is the bird doing well?
Uh, he's doing awesome. He is like
Good.
on my neck right now as we speak, chattering away.
All right.
And
Well, that's
and we're
good.
we're hanging out. Bonding is going great. It's been like a month now.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
about and yeah, he's doing so awesome. I absolutely love him. He's a lot of fun.
Is he
It's
one
been
of the
great
birds
training
that
him.
molt every year and get all ugly and then they get pretty again?
Well, all birds do that. All birds molt
Do they do it
because
all
that's how
every year?
every year, yeah, because that's how feathers grow.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, a couple times a year. If you see a feather, it kind of just looks like a plastic straw sticking out of their skin until that sheath comes off.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's actually part of how you bond with a new bird is like you help them take those sheaths off their feathers, and
Interesting.
that helps. That's like scratching somebody's back. Like you'll be their friend really fast if you scratch your back.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
that
thank you,
works with me
baby.
as well. So,
Yeah. My husband brought me coffee.
oh,
Oh, it looks
there.
perfect.
Nice. Nice.
I'm on stream.
How have you been? I haven't seen you online as much the past week
Um,
ish.
yeah, probably for like the past 2, 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah, ever
Yeah.
since I stopped doing the whole Mon Monday thing, I just been kind of taking a break.
Yeah.
Sarah and I had that falling out.
Yes. She's
So
been
that was
on a
a
couple of times.
yeah, I know. And that's fine. Like
Okay.
I'll be in the space with her. No big deal.
Oh, okay,
It's not a
good.
big
Yeah,
deal.
well, I asked her point blank actually if you came in and came up if that would be a problem, and she said no, and I said okay, that's
No,
good.
no, we're not gonna like. I
Not
had a
going to avoid each
moment.
other. You're not going to do
Yeah.
the girl thing and cross the street or
No,
anything.
no, 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 no.
Okay. All
I
right.
had a moment on Rachel's Ghost where I was just pissed and just like wanted to announce that we were over and just get it done with. And I didn't really care how it looked. And that's
Okay.
where I was, you know,
I
and
got it.
that's not me wanting to like start drama everywhere or me having an issue where I need to do
Oh, I
that.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't think that you would start drama. It's just a lot of people, myself included, to be honest. If a lot of times, if I just don't like somebody and I see they're on a panel, I'll go somewhere else for a little while. I just
Mhm.
and I didn't. Sometimes that's okay, and sometimes it's like, you probably. I don't know. I don't want to. I wouldn't want to have you not feel cool here
Oh, no.
if she was, so I prefer
That's
that.
so kind. That's so kind of you to consider. But yeah, I'm good. I've always moved about the space like as I wanted, and that was always kind of the point.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, issues here.
Perfect.
I'll even panel. Won't be any drama. I won't be
All right.
causing any
Cool.
issues for you.
Great. That's awesome. I have to ask because I don't like getting blindsided. So,
I get it. I get it. I don't
because I
know how
have had that
so.
happen before too, where I brought a couple of people up that I thought were buddies. They were
Hmm.
not buddies anymore.
Hmm.
That was exciting.
Yeah, but
It's good.
I mean, it's good YouTube Like,
Yeah,
like, you see it, it's like the fight, fight. Everybody loves it.
yeah, I don't.
It is the good YouTube, and
Is it though?
you got to play the YouTube game. You got to give the people what they want, and they want the blood.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Not for everything though. Like you got
Yeah.
to have your boundaries. But I think
Mhm.
if you're having a fight and you don't give a fuck and you just want to drag it out and have it out on YouTube, play the YouTube game. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah. What else is new? Anything else new? I mean, obviously the bird's going well.
Yeah, I've
Get
been like
to get
hyper
some
focused on
sun.
the bird, spending so much time
Okay,
on the bird.
that's good.
And now it's like the autumn cleaning of my house and switching out all of the kids' clothes into their,
Mm.
warmer fashions and all that. So I'm busy with that and just, I don't know, touching grass and chilling out. No drama
Mm.
here. Been hanging out.
So I'm actually kind of going through that, except I'm doing that with my garage.
Oh, I
So
love garage.
I'm trying to wind up all the projects. I just last week I painted the Mini Cooper that I've been doing,
Cool.
and now I was going to be painting my airplane today, but my um, just the way the schedule worked out, I didn't have time before I had some stuff to do before the show. I was actually on Mel Pandora's panel while I was doing the stuff I needed to be doing,
Were you?
and
Is it your first time there?
yeah,
How'd you like it? How'd it go?
it's all right. You know, it's like any other panel. It was just me, Glenn, and Mel, so it wasn't like a bunch of
Oh, okay. Okay.
regulars.
Yeah. I could see
Most
that
of the
like really
people, I think
popping
that
off cool though. Like
yeah,
to have those collide.
most of the people that I've and I have to admit that I've only seen a couple of clips of Mel's channel, so I have no preconceived notion, right?
Mhm.
And so I have I didn't I don't know what to expect. So I took Glenn was on. I think that's why I got the notifications because Glenn was on the panel
Mhm.
and or on the show. And I was like, they were talking about marriage or something,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I made some comments to kind of back up Glenn's points from the chat. I was like, well, I can't get up because I've got, I was actually in the gym. I was like, I can't. I mean, I could have, put my earbuds. Well, I had my earbuds in. I could have just connected via my phone. But the gym I go to has a no cell phone policy, no talking on the cell phone while you're actually in the gym. Like
Mhm.
you can't do that. Like if you want to use your cell, if you need to talk to somebody on a cell phone, you have to go outside because and what's happened is they've had people that will just sit on a machine or sit in a position for 20 minutes talking on the phone while people are waiting to use that equipment, right? And and I get it. I follow the rules, so I don't talk on the phone while I'm there. And so I waited until I was driving home, and I got on a panel for a few minutes. I drove home. I had to jump off again. I had some other stuff to do, and then I I jumped back on for probably 20 minutes or so. So the only thing about Mel's panel, as far as I know, that would be an issue for me is just that I know that Resto's involved with that, and I just
Mhm.
don't really like Resto. So
Right.
um, yeah, but I
Understandable.
was on Flow State's panel the other night. You? I don't know if you caught that.
I think I did see it and then I caught a short of it. Like on the weekend, I'm not really
Mm.
like paneling very much at all. If you see me pop in
Yeah.
chat, it's super quick.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think I saw it super briefly. How did that go?
So you know he's quit professing his undying love for me, and I treat him like a human being.
Okay. I love it.
So you know,
I love the newest short that he made.
what is it? I
Where
haven't
like
seen
his
it.
hand, oh, it was something about like, oh yeah, Flo's hands are just like all the way up my trousers.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then he's like, nothing but
Well, he was trying
vagina.
to. He's trying to massage me.
I know.
Like
It's hilarious. I love like this like love-hate relationship with you and Flo. It's absolutely hysterical to me.
yeah.
Um but I think you both are very good guys.
He's been on the show twice now.
Has he? Is he banned in chat still, or is he good on
No,
chat?
no, no. I only banned him because he was boring. And
Okay.
he was like every time he would come in, it was like I don't know, it just wasn't it just didn't seem like it was very good. And I was like, and he came in and he started with the I love you thing or something, or give me a hug or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to hear that. Just keep him out of here. Go away. And
Mhm.
I honestly didn't take him seriously. Like I really honestly, I was like, who cares? But Glenn's like, you don't need to be so hard on Flo. He's not that bad. And you know, Michigan Christian, I am going to drop the link and then I'm going to delete it pretty much as soon as you
I
click
was
it.
gonna say, I like went into my Discord to open this up, and I think if I hit done or exit it, it'll close me out to like go do what I would need to do to get him the link. So
Yeah.
I'll kick myself out if I do it on my phone. But actually, that might work because I do need to get running. So it's good that he's jumping up.
But yeah, so Flow State's been up a couple of times. He can actually, when he's not trying to be a jerk, he's actually not too bad.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's hilarious.
Cam the King, Flower State, that's funny, is gay, and he has a race fetish, likes BBC and 24-hour times me out like it's a loss. not
The
not
the
once.
names that all of you guys come up with each other throughout this space is absolutely hysterical to me. And I'll
Yeah,
even confuse like the real nicknames with like the like troll nicknames that
that's
people come
legit.
up with people. And it's really funny because like if I tell my family about something that's going on,
They think
um
you're a psychopath.
yeah, they're like, it sounds like you just drop acid and talk to these characters.
It really is. I try to
You
tell my
tell
wife
them.
about some of it, and she's just like, I don't even want to know.
Oh yeah, no, you can't keep up. You
I
can't
don't
keep
care.
up. Huh,
She just doesn't care.
yeah. You're either a
Yeah, Mister,
streamer.
do that. Just throw it in my Discord. Mikey Balls, I see you out there, man. You can come up too. You can click the link. I haven't deleted it yet. You're welcome to come up.
And cool. I'm gonna get moving and
All right,
get going
Michelle.
with my day.
Well,
So it was good to
have a
catch
good
up with
rest of
you.
your day.
Yeah, it was good to catch up with you.
Imperious does give good nickname. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how he is in other areas, but he gives good nickname.
Definitely.
You don't know him. You do not know Simperious?
Oh, Imperious?
Yeah.
I know
Okay.
Imperious. Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Yeah.
He I know him from
Simperious.
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 I think I know him
I
from
have
like
named
Ashley's
him.
Discord.
He's
I love
received
it.
his official name. So,
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
all right.
Bye.
Thanks, Michelle. Welcome, Michigan Christian. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
I can. You're a little low, but I can still hear you okay.
All right. I think you might have to turn me up because I think my mic is all the way up.
Okay. Let me see if I can level you up there. Try that.
Testing.
Yeah, that's way
Testing.
better.
All
That's
right.
way better. Limp Perius, that's also pretty good. That's pretty good. So, Ghost 19 Ghost says Flow State is a grid one stalker.
He does seem
Can
to
men,
have a little bit of a man crush on you.
can men have stalkers though? I mean, really? Can
Gay
we have?
stalkers.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think Flo's gay though.
Probably not.
I mean, for people anyway. I'd keep seafood away from him though. All right. So
I don't have too much against Flo. Just that he kind of falsely accused you in Thorpe TV, and I called him out on it when he came in. But other than
yeah,
that, he seems okay.
well, he's
A little bit of a simp.
he had the data pushed in front of him, and he was just like, and he wanted more data, and I'm like, God, it's never going to end. So,
Well,
how have you been? How have you been? What have you been doing? Are you doing election stuff still? How's everything rolling along, man?
actually haven't been doing too much in election stuff. We did have our convention a while back for the delegates in Michigan. But now it's pretty much they expect the delegates to just knock doors and everything else. I don't have the time to do that. I work, things like that. There are a lot of retirees that are delegates, and there are a lot of people that are doing a lot of work. But yeah, it's interesting here in Michigan. You can definitely tell a difference between 2020 and now.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I'm seeing that's good, and I think it's going to make a difference, and that is they are tracking who has voted, and they're reaching out to the people that have not voted that they think are Republican. They did not do that in previous years, and given the extended election criteria, it gives us more time to find them. It's kind of funny because I didn't do early mail-in ballots, and they're actually sending me all these mailers too, and it's like I'm gonna vote. Just early voting starts I think today.
We started early voting last week.
Yeah, certain
I
areas
have
of
to go
Michigan
get my
did too.
driver's license. So I went to go do earlier. This sounds weird. I went to go do early voting last week, and I discovered that my driver's license had expired.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go get my driver's license renewed. And
Well,
then
that's interesting because here I don't even think that would matter. It would only matter if you surrendered your ID in another state, which nobody does, or if your address changed officially through the Secretary of State, which also nobody does. For example, I had 3 people listed in the qualified voter file at my actual address that are not me, and they are previous tenants in this apartment. And I was like, this is crazy. And they actually voted in my precinct, given that that is the precinct they had to vote in based on that address. So I'm pretty sure it's illegal to vote in a precinct that's not yours and not change your ID both. But they did that, and I had to fill out a affidavit saying these people have moved, they do not live here, and I actually proposed legislation to a state senator. What I want to do, and I think this should be done in other states that it could help with, is have the Secretary of State send out a postcard to every single address and list who is registered on that address, because no one knows. And I can tell you right now, as somebody who has the qualified voter file in hand, there's a lot of addresses that have people that no longer live there, and that opens up the avenue for fraud. So
sure.
there has to be some way that you can take other people's names off if you attest that they don't live there. But if you
Yeah.
don't know, you can't ask. And the secretaries or the city clerks and things like that, they're not going to actively seek these.
So a couple of things. First, Imperius says Flow State is ready to tackle me out of the bushes and take my booty. That's gay. Don't do that. And that that would take that seriously. That would be an issue. But that's funny. It is funny though. I have not been I've not been stalked before. That's very funny. The second thing is that so I did not know this, but I had this happen earlier this year, where somebody had used my address, and the insurance effectively, or my insurance added them to my policy.
What?
They added them to my policy. Apparently they'll send you out a letter, but I don't actually read any mail from my insurance company, since I have paperless billing. So I assume that anything from my insurance company that doesn't come in like a big envelope of something I have to sign is just, advertisement. But apparently they sent me a letter saying that, so-and-so was going to do the, or so-and-so was now lived at this address, and if they lived there and were able to drive my vehicles, just let them know, blah blah blah. It was very interesting. So the
Ghost.
it was very interesting, and so it made my insurance, whoever that person, since they weren't able to verify any statistics on the person that they added to my insurance, they literally made it the maximum for everything. So my
Of
insurance
course.
went up like almost 3 times. It almost tripled. And originally I thought, well, we did have an accident claim, and it seems extreme, but I'll get around to to fixing it, right? And then I went to add a car, and I was like, why is it so expensive? And they're like, oh, well, you added another driver, and I'm like, I haven't added another driver. I'm like, oh no, we did. We somebody was at your address, and I noticed the name, and I'm like, who is this? Why are they on my insurance? And that all came out. It was pretty crazy. So if the insurance company can tell you that somebody lives at an address, even if they don't, you'd think the government could figure a way to negate that, right? Again, of course, the insurance companies have a reason to profit from that.
Well, and there's a lot of ways they could do that too. So, for example, when the clerks here in the city that I'm in send out election mail, if they get it rejected, you get put on a 2-year waiting list, and it's basically it's if they do any voting activity, they'll get back off the list. But it's kind of like a waiting list to get removed from the QVF. However, that entails that the postal worker actually does return the mail to the city clerk. And a lot of postal workers will just deliver it. They won't send it back. And I actually talked to the post office the other day, and I'm like, what do you do with ballots that are addressed to that address but not to that person? And it took me a long time to get him to answer. And he's like, well, some people will send them back and some people will just deliver them. I'm like, that's illegal. Like, you should not be delivering these ballots. But this is part of the reason why a bad QVF and absentee voter laws are bad for voting. But there's other ways too. Like, for example, a lot of these mailing places will know when you move before the government does. And ERIC, I believe, is what it's called, ERIC. It's an acronym. A lot of states subscribe to them, and there's been a lot of controversy. It's a private industry, I believe, or a nonprofit. And there's been some controversy about them interjecting.
It's crazy the level of if the government wanted to, it's crazy the level of accuracy they could have. So I had a trailer that was stolen in California.
Was it that big ass long trailer?
Yeah, it's the big red one. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And I had to make an insurance claim on it. And the insurance company actually pulled up pictures taken by police cars and traffic cams of the license plate on the trailer. They used the license plate on a trailer, pull up police pictures and videos, and the trailer had been obviously gone through some traffic light cameras, but it had also had a license plate reader on a patrol car read the license plate and then video the length of the trailer, and that they turned that into pictures, and they were able to look at the damage on the trailer. They actually sent me pictures of the damage on my trailer. And I was like, yeah, that's the damage. It said exactly. And they're like, okay, cool. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
You think about how, I mean, that's them driving by in their car. Like, how can they not know who can and cannot vote? Like, this is crazy.
Well, and the other thing too is, you can register all the way up through the day of election. Like, we pay so much attention to not removing people when it's so easy for them to re-register. I don't understand it. Well,
I always thought the rolls should be purged after every election.
Well, that would be interesting. Mr. makes a good point too. He was talking about Virginia and the voting lawsuits that happened there. I believe Mr. that that one, if I remember correctly, the governor had a good intent on removing, or maybe it was the Secretary of State, I believe it was the governor, on removing those people. I think he had good reason, and somebody sued him or went to the Supreme Court, and they reversed it. So they said, "Oh, you're violating federal law." Well, it's true that federal law, you have to wait like 2 years or something, just in case, or 2 years after an election or some crap like that, or 2 election cycles it might be, just in case they do still exist. But there was some reason why, I believe it was an attestation by the people themselves that they had moved, and they still can't remove it. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I just don't understand why the voter rolls are not purged after every election. They used to say, I think, that the voter rolls helped with the census, but the census is pretty irrelevant when it comes to that. So I don't know how they make that justification.
Well, here in Michigan, it's based on any interaction you do with the state. So if you're renewing your driver's license, things like that, they automatically renew your registration or automatically register you. So
here you have to check a box.
Yeah. See, and I would like that, because the less people that are in the QVF, the more likely it is to be accurate. And I think right now somebody made the comment that we have more people registered in the state than we actually have in the state.
In Ohio, I think in Ohio, that's true.
And I do know that that calls into question, are you using census data that's old, blah blah blah, are there people that are scheduled to be removed from the QVF, inactive voters like the ones I was talking about, that haven't quite been removed yet, things like that. Those might be true, but even if you have just exactly the same number, that still implies that every person that lives here is registered, and no one that's registered doesn't live here. That's just crazy.
That's true. That's exactly what that implies. So I don't know. I think it's I just think it's really interesting right now.
Yeah, and Ghost made the comment that you can vote without an ID. You are correct, at least here in Michigan, you can vote without an ID. However, you do have to sign an affidavit, which is probably meaningless for any kind of real repercussions. But I have asked the Secretary of State and the clerks in the circles that I'm in, and there is not a high level. I forget the number, but there's not a high level of those affidavits being filled out. So the number is very small.
So here in Tennessee, you are required to show a state-issued ID, period.
Yeah, as it should be.
And so that and it has to be current. So you can't get somebody's 3-year-old ID and roll, which is why I couldn't vote the other day, because they looked at my driver's license and said, "Hey, this is expired. It's not valid. Can't use it."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Okay, I'll go get it fixed." In theory, I could have used my passport, maybe. I'm not sure, because it's not state issued. That doesn't prove that I'm a resident of the state. So,
yeah. Well, and you have a lot of college students here, and I'm sure in other states too. That
we have. I live in a college town,
and the Democrats literally bring trailers to the campus and they try to register people, but it's very complicated because a lot of these students don't understand it goes by where you're actually living, not where you're originally from or things like that. So you get these voters that are registered in 2 states because somebody has come there to register them, even though they're already registered in another state. Of course, they're not going to go to the other state and say, "Oh, this person registered here." No, they're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah, that's a real thing.
Yeah. That's why I think this bill, I do think I'm going to keep pushing the politicians to do this, because we do need notification so that people can fix things. If they're not notified, they can't fix it. So sending out a mailer to the address, I mean, we get mail already. Send out a list of the people that are registered at each address, and let the people that live there go to the Secretary of State, say this is wrong, and give them instructions on how to do it. I actually talked to a politician. One of his arguments, he's a libertarian, one of his arguments was, well, that's going to cost money. I'm sorry, that's not a good argument. That's money well spent. And another, I'm trying to remember, somebody else had another argument too. Oh, it was that we wouldn't want to enable the fraud by telling people who was registered at their address, because then they would potentially be able to use that. And I'm not entirely sure that would be accurate, because I think the ones that are going to be fraudulent are going to do it, and regardless of whether we send anything there. I don't think anybody's going to see that and go, you know what, I'm going to be a fraudulent, welder. I don't think that's likely to happen, but I do see a little bit of that argument. I think the benefits outweigh the risks, though.
What do you think about how easy it is currently to get mail-in ballots? What should be done about that? And so, and I haven't. So when I was, I was a Tennessee resident, but I was doing business in California. So I was in California almost as much as I was Tennessee or Colorado or anywhere else. And so, so I had to, and the mailing address that I needed it sent to was in California. So they were happy to send it there, no problem. But I had to, I actually had to go in. I couldn't request it online. I had to go in, fill out a form with my Tennessee driver's license and all of my information, and then I got my mail-in ballot. I don't know that it's that way now, and I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know why we have mail-in ballots for people who live in state.
Well, they used COVID as an excuse, like people can't go inside because they're sick, blah blah blah. But I mean, if you ask me, the core purpose to expand it is fraud.
Yes, I believe.
I don't see another reason behind why someone would want to expand it. There is no advantage to voter accuracy by sending out absentee ballots. So you would want to, if you cared about voting accuracy, you would want to send out the least amount of absentee ballots as possible.
Yeah, I think that most states do. I don't know that for certain, but I think so.
What? Send out as least as possible?
Yeah, at least mail-in ballots as possible.
Well, here in Michigan, I don't know how it is in other states, but they did this, like, you can sign up and we'll send you absentee ballots forever, or some super long amount of time. And it's like, that's crazy. People are moving, it's too much. And no, they've definitely expanded absentee voting here in Michigan.
What do you think about Trump on Joe Rogan the other night?
I watched about the first third.
I've not seen it all yet, so
yeah, I watched about the first third, and I gotta say it's one of the best interviews that I've seen with Trump. And I haven't watched a lot of the older ones before he was president or before he was in politics, but since he's been in politics, I would say it's one of the best ones. It is kind of funny because at least in the first third, Joe Rogan's trying to get him to answer, like, what was your feeling when you went into office? And Trump, like, I don't know if he just misunderstood what he was asking, but he kind of a little bit answered it and go on like this, he kind of like what he does. He just goes and talks about it, and he kind of just ventures off into this, long speech. But everything he said was good. It's just kind of funny because Joe Rogan kept coming back to, but tell me what you felt like when you. This is kind of funny. I think Trump is he's going to say what he's going to say, and it's kind of funny that even Joe Rogan couldn't quite corral him the specific answers, but that's fine. It's still a good conversation. I thought it was very comfortable. Both of them were very comfortable with each other. You could tell the dynamic was good. Neither one of them was trying to attack each other. Trump was giving good answers and good information that I thought was insider information that he's probably never said publicly. So it was refreshing, I thought.
Okay.
Definitely recommend watching it to everybody.
I've heard that it is definitely it was definitely a great interview from Trump to Joe Rogan. And I guess Kamala's been kind of falling on her face in all interviews lately, but especially a couple. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the honeymoon is kind of over, and I think that her interviews, in particular the one with Brett Baer, was definitely showing light on how she can answer questions, and she has no backing for any answers, no substance to anything. She just keeps basically just coming up with talking points, and orange man bad, pretty much. But Trump this, but Trump that.
Yeah. So what? I put this. So do you think? So do you think this is all because they never intended to put her in front of people? They really just wanted to have her do the normal Democrat, or what's become the normal Democrat thing of just running a bunch of rhetoric and never having their candidate actually interview, actually talk to the press. Because since Obama, they haven't had a single candidate that could stand in front of a crowd and deliver.
100%. It
That's what
works
I
for
think.
Biden. Stay in the basement. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
You can only hurt yourself by speaking. I think they knew that Kamala was going to be the same situation. She could only hurt herself by speaking. She didn't have anything of substance to actually give people, and they're like, "Look, just stay out of the spotlight. Just avoid answers. Just look good. Say orange man bad. Turn everything onto Trump." And you see this with the stadium that she supposedly filled, and they're trying to say, "Oh, it's bigger than Trump rallies and whatever." And it's like you had
I'm gonna
Beyonce
let you
there.
talk for a minute. I got to grab this.
Yeah,
Keep going.
and it's like you had Beyonce there to make it, like an event that people thought she was going to sing at. It was like going to be a concert, and she ended up just talking. And it's one time, and it's like, yeah, okay. And Trump just filled Madison Square Garden. So what, And how many times does Trump have rallies in the same place? People keep showing up over and over again. People know they can see Trump whenever, whereas Kamala wants to speak. It's like, oh, we better get there. We got one time that she's going to speak, and it's going to be with Beyonce, ooh, the queen of democracy, who knows nothing. So yeah, I think it's they can only rely on the media pushing them forward for so long before it collapses, and I think that's what we're starting to see.
Yeah, I think well, I think it started, honestly, I think it started at the debate that they tried to avoid, pushed for, stacked in their favor, and still lost.
Yeah, and I think the Waltz Vance debate was
Oh,
a
that was
big
terrible.
L for them.
So, have you seen the hit pieces on Vance lately? They are really ramping up.
No, what are they saying? He's a fascist. He's evil.
Just all of the above. I'm trying to think of which specific one I saw last, but it was, Vance's run is basic. They're like, oh, Vance is his run's basically over. Is gonna such a detriment to Trump. Blah blah blah.
Well,
Blah.
you got to remember that they're looking at Vance being the next president after Trump,
That's true.
and they're already going to go after him.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's especially if Trump has a successful run. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the financials lately, but I mean, people are starting to take liquidity because the market's retracting, and they're taking liquidity where they can. They're getting. I personally think we're getting ready for a run, folks. I think they're expecting from now to the end of now until the election. I think Wall Street is 100%, or investors in general are 100% looking at there's probably going to continue to be a retraction. There may be some up and down, some volatility, which they like, and they'll make money there. But I think that they're looking to have as much liquidity on hand, because I think the market going into or coming out of the election, especially if Trump gets elected, I think it's going to be massive movements. Gas is down mysteriously. That's accurate, Ghost 1978. I'm sorry, I just saw that. Yeah, it's absolutely down for no reason whatsoever. Like, we've not changed the number of barrels per day imported. We haven't. OPEC hasn't dropped the price of oil. There's no reason for the price of oil to be down or gasoline to be down, and yet it is. Riddle me this.
That is interesting, but I would not be surprised. I mean, well, I guess I should word this differently. It only stands to benefit Harris and Democrats for the gas prices to go down.
That's already a talking point. If you watch the video that with Glenn Lawrence from Jubilee, and if you watch the video with Ben Shapiro with Jubilee and the IRI guy that tried to go up against him on a bunch of economic points, they both point out that gas is down, and that and of course the immediate rejoinder is gas was down even further than where it is now when Trump left office. Even after the pandemic, it was still lower. Even after he left office, and so, but they're saying, well, but it's still down. It's massively down. It's getting close to the level or maybe it's at the level where Trump left office. Maybe it's at, like, yeah, but that's COVID, and it was down way below that prior to that, or for most of his term. And they don't really have an answer for that. They just like to deflect. But it's strangely down. And what I personally think is, I think we're going to find out that that the government is subsidizing the per barrel cost of oil right now.
Oof! Oh, that'd be newsworthy if someone could prove that. Yeah,
I think it kind of has to be that, right? Because if OPEC, so you can, look, you can look it. I can look it up right now. I can look up price of oil today, right?
National average.
Yeah. Oh no, just the price of oil, just the price of barrel.
Oh, the oil barrels, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have what's produced here, and we have what's coming in, and we have what's going out. So it's a lot.
So the price of the barrel is coming down, and it's actually coming down pretty significantly. So if you look at OPEC, it's down 89 cents a barrel. If you look at Bonnie Light, which I think is like British Petroleum, it is down $2.30. That's odd, but it's still more expensive than OPEC. Louisiana Light is up $1.34.
Could the weather have something to do with it? I know either the winter or the summer is cheaper, and I don't know how that plays into things right now.
Winter, they add a bunch of additives. But winter crude, crude, Murbain crude, which I don't know where that's from, but it's down $4.28 a barrel. It is cheaper than OPEC. Brent crude, I guess that's light versus crude, but so crude is Murbain is $70. Brent crude, which I guess is another company, is $71.90. WTI crude is $67.82. Oh wow! So we were at a high on September of October, and this is a monthly. Let's do a year scale. So the price of oil has been trending pretty much above $80 a barrel until this month.
How about that?
It's literally the lowest it's been since Biden took office.
Wow.
What a shocker.
That's crazy.
So,
and I think, Ghost, you're correct that oil companies, at least here in the U.S., want Trump to win. However, I don't think they're trying to be nice right now, because it'll only hurt Trump to have lower gas prices right now.
Yeah, if they wanted Trump to win, they would keep that per barrel cost up for sure.
Yeah, but T.R. Finley, you're right that if that longshoreman strike comes back, they will hold Trump responsible. And
Yeah,
I thought about that was maybe part of the intention by the Biden administration to drag that out.
Yeah, they just kicked the can, right? They just kicked the can down the road. They didn't actually fix anything.
And you know what the Democrats should do right now while the gas prices are low? Oh, yeah, they should refill the strategic oil reserves that they drained.
Well, that's what
that
Trump
they still haven't filled,
That's what
to
Trump
my knowledge. Yeah, Trump will have to do it, and that'll increase his prices, and they'll blame him for it.
$14 a barrel. Wow, that's crazy. I don't remember it being $14 a barrel, but that's nuts.
It is.
So what? Yeah, so that's interesting. So what is Michigan like right now? What is, because you've got Waltz. You guys got to be proud of that. And
dude, Michigan's crazy right now. I'm not gonna lie. This politically, it is absolutely nuts. Feels like we're in Iowa or something.
in Iowa,
Well, yeah, like you get all the attention. Or no, it's New Hampshire. One of the first state is that. I think it's Iowa, isn't it? Where everybody goes to Iowa before the election season and tries to get people on board. I mean, you're seeing Trump and Harris come here on the regular, and the ads are just every commercial. It's crazy. Mailers, phone calls, texts, billboards, yard signs. I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. People are probably fed up about hearing about it and ready to just move on. But you got to remember, we have a senator spot also, and that's huge because we've had two Democrats for a long time, and if we get a Republican in Senate, that'll be huge. I don't think, I'm not feeling confident in that. They're saying that even if Trump wins, Mike Rogers might not. I really wish. Not because I like Mike Rogers that much, but just because I despise the Dems that have been in Senate for so long. It'd be nice to have some balance here.
Yeah.
And it just, I think people just, I don't know. I don't have a confidence that they'll vote for him, but I hope so, man. And there's a lot going on this election for Michigan and even for the country. If Michigan goes well, that bodes well for the country as well. And to be quite honest, if Michigan wins Republican, and especially our senator, that means the other states are going to do well probably too, of the swing states. So it's a good sign, and we are hearing good things from the polls, that Trump might be in the lead in the swing states, even in Michigan, depending on the polls you look at. But they also say the polls lag behind and that Trump does better in the polls. I'm not sure that could be the case now, because you can't say the polls are going to be the same as they were before. But yeah, man, it's crazy here. It's absolutely everybody knows the importance of what's going on.
Interesting. What would you have done differently if you were Kamala's people, other than quitting on day one? You can't say that. What would you do to try and enhance? How would you especially if Kamala was your candidate and you can't quit, how do you manage this campaign?
Well, I think for the most part, they're doing what they can, which is playing to people's fears about abortion, which I think is total BS. But there's a lot of women in Michigan that buy that garbage. I think the orange man bad is always going to be there. They're doing that.
T.R. Finley, man. Jesus. Short rope and tall stool.
It's kind of like quitting on first day, but yeah, I mean, they really don't have a leg to stand on here in Michigan that they haven't taken advantage of, because the economy, they can say all they want about the economy being worse under Trump, but it's not true, and I think people know it's not true.
Right.
We felt the economy. I felt the economy getting better in Trump. Now they can confuse people because of the pandemic, and they can say the job numbers and all this and that, but it's all a lie.
I mean, at the end of the day, doesn't the average person, you can give them numbers all you want, they're not going to care. What they care about is that in their own brain, they say, you know what? I was making $35 an hour at a plant when under Trump, and I'm making, I'm struggling to make $18 an hour working for fucking Hardee's or whatever, or whatever mediocre job because the plant doesn't have room for me. Production is down, demand is down. Keystone Pipeline, you guys shut that shit down. I think Biden lost the election in the first month of his term.
Yeah.
I think he lost this election in the first month of his term.
Well, and some would say he lost it, period.
Right. No, and look, I'm not going to get into that
Sure.
debate because
Yeah.
it's irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, and I don't want to get TOS
Except for
or anything.
hysterical purposes. At some point, the people who really care about hysterical things will go back and sort it out.
But even the people that voted for him in the election only voted for him because he wasn't Trump. It was the hatred against Trump that caused Biden to win. They played that card and they played it well. And so I think even in the first month when Biden was in, people didn't like him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's always been the case. No one's liked him. Or Kamala, it's the same thing.
I mean, that's solid reasoning. But I keep going back to in Biden's first month, he signed the order to start using strategic oil reserves, while at the same time, same stroke of the pen, he kills the Keystone Pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
He undoes all of the restrictions. That sounded cool.
Sorry, I'm on the road.
That's all right. At the same with another stroke of the pen, he undoes all the banking sanctions that were keeping the real estate industry from going batshit crazy. And he undid something like 100 EOs that Trump had in place that were keeping the country running and profitable. And he did it just out of spite for all this. And to the average voter, it really does look like that none of the things he did were reasoned, and that he had a reason to do it, and it was bad for the country. He just didn't. He just wanted to kill Trump's legacy, right? And so to most people I talk to when I ask them about this, is hey, what do you think about the Keystone Pipeline? What do you think about that first month that Biden was in office? And he kept his promise. Day one he was going to undo 100 EOs that Trump had done, and he did. I said, what do you think about that? And they're like, well, we're paying for it now. With the high interest rates, the banks are out of control again. All of the things. And I really feel like that's when they lost this election right then. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not really sure that it was all to spite Trump. I think they knew on some of them what they were doing and wanted it. For example, the Remain in Mexico agreement. I think they wanted that to end because they wanted open borders.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they do. I don't think they did that to spite Trump. I think they did that because that's their policy overall, and that was just going to happen. But the banking thing, they should have, they're in theory, they're the party that should have done what Trump did in the first place. They just never did. I'm going to read this by Mr. Mister. Her main mistake is she never left PA. That hits, man. That hits. They were so obsessed with locking down Pennsylvania the whole time Trump was bouncing around swing states. He did. For every one event she does, he does 3. That is still true. And he makes her look like an old woman because he's running around everywhere. Like he's doing press conferences at fucking midnight, dude. Like she's in bed by 8. Like it's crazy.
And he's been that way since he's been in politics too. He's never stopped. The
I think
man's
he's
always busy. It's
the whole time.
crazy.
Like I think that's just what he does. I think that's who he is. I don't think he can change that part of himself.
To go back to your question, I thought about this for a minute. What's Kamala's main mistake? And I think I have an answer to that. I think her main mistake is not being able to delineate herself from Joe Biden and not be able to say, this is what we did wrong and we're going to do it right now.
Yeah, a lot of people really, it hit a lot of people really hard when she came out and said, when they asked her, what would you do differently than in your administration than Joe Biden administration? And she said nothing.
It's crazy.
And literally even Democrats were like, the fuck does this woman on?
And to tell you how big of a mistake that is, they're actually airing that here in Michigan so that people can see it.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. It's an interesting dynamic. What do you think about the housing, the ridiculousness of the housing nonsense that she's promoting currently?
What is she promoting in the housing crisis?
$25,000 fee. Going to build like 300,000 new houses or some shit.
Well, and even in Democrat cities here in Michigan, they're trying to say we're building affordable housing. We're building affordable housing. The point is, it's not the government's job to build the housing. It's the government's job to stay out of the way of the housing market. So, for example, zoning regulations. From what I understand, I actually talked to a treasurer of a city here in Michigan a while back, and then she was doing a college visit. At the time, I was at college and part of a political group, and there was a Democrat there, and she goes, "What are you going to do about the crisis of housing?" And this treasurer went on, "Oh, we want to build affordable housing." And I said, "Well, what are you going to do besides build more housing? Can't you do something else?" And she goes, I said, "Why are there not more houses being built by the private industry?" And she said, "Well, part of it is the zoning regulations." And I said, "So why don't you fix that?" And she was stumped. She didn't know how to answer because nobody ever asked that question. And so there apparently is more that can be done. Obviously, there's going to be some regulation that's important in the zoning, but I think it is probably a hinder to the housing market, and nobody ever really talks about it. But the free handouts is always the Democrats' solution, right? They're always, we'll just give your money away. We'll give you money, other people's money. The money's just going to come from nowhere. It'll be fine. And we'll, if you're saying should give 25,000, I believe it because, it's our money, and she's just going to give it out and say, "Oh, it's compliments of us. Vote for us."
Yeah, no, that's a solid point. I had we're about to build a house. We're going the other direction. We're building probably 1 or 2 houses to actually sell. Normally we would build rentals, but I think we're building these out to sell. And we're building houses that in this market would be top of the market, $2.5 million houses. Because why would we want to build cheap? We were going to build cheap houses. I was going to build 5 low cost, lower rent, affordable housing stuff on this property I have, and we've just decided that it's stupid to do that, and it's just easier just to build luxury homes and sell them to people that can afford them.
Do you think that I know for a while they were saying that part of the reason why we weren't getting a lot of new housing was because of the cost of materials? Do you think that it's a profitable industry to build houses right now?
So the material costs actually come back down to like not normal, because it never goes back to normal. There's always a new normal, but I think the problem right now, the reason that houses aren't getting built is because they're overbuilt in most areas. So like I think if you actually do research, like actual research, what you'll find is like in Nashville, for example, I'm going to pick on Nashville for a moment. When you have in Nashville, they built a bunch of apartments and condos, and they and this was back when, you know, everybody was relocating here, and they had a lot of people coming in from areas of the country that are way more expensive, like California and New York. And so they built these apartments, and they pay, and of course they're building them with the height of the COVID on out. So while costs have gotten lower, initially the cost was very high. So that we have, I want to say we have currently about 16 to 18,000 surplus apartments. Means empty. And or you know, apartments and condominiums. I don't know how many single family homes there are. I could look into that, but we built a shit ton of them. And I can drive around. If you flew in tomorrow, we could drive around, and within an hour to an hour and a half of driving, I could show you a half a dozen or more started housing developments that have stalled because they can't sell them for what they need to sell them for because of the bank loans they got. And so they've just stopped selling. They've stopped building them. They've stopped selling them. They're just paying the maintenance on the whatever they from whatever building line of credit they had, and they only build houses when they sell one. They'll sell a house and they'll build two right now. And I think most of the country is probably in that same boat. I doubt that there's anywhere right now where they're building massive amounts of housing. Because the truth is, we don't have an issue with housing. We have an issue with housing that people are willing to allow people to rent for $2,000 a month or less, which we would equate to affordable housing. But builders aren't going to build affordable houses. Nobody wants to live in an affordable house. Nobody wants to live in a 1,500 square foot shoebox with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a bath. Right?
I'm not sure that's true here in Michigan. I think there is definitely a shortage of housing, and I think that is a problem.
Yeah, Michigan can be different. I mean, all markets are different. And I don't know how much building. You guys have a weird thing because you can only build for like 6 months,
Yeah.
and then your winter comes in, and then you basically you can't even pour concrete for months at a time.
Yeah.
So you guys we can build 365, baby. Like if
you're
willing to deal with rain, if you're willing to deal with rain, and wind, you can make it happen here.
Yeah, it's winter or construction season here. That's
true.
Sure.
That's true. That's why nobody's just a construction worker in Michigan. In Michigan, if somebody says, "Oh, I'm a construction worker," you go, "Okay, what else do you do?" Because then you'll find out they're an auto mechanic, they work in a warehouse, they're a truck driver, they're something else.
Right.
Because so, you know, yeah.
But yeah, I do think that that here at least there seems to be a problem with not being able to build. Obviously, price is a problem, but I think housing availability is the bigger problem here, at least right now.
You get into the construction loans, you get into what it costs per square foot to build, and the math doesn't math.
Yeah.
So, like, if I build this, let's just say that my construction cost, and we'll just pull some numbers out of the air because I'm not going to tell you what my actual construction cost is. But let's say that I spent $110 a square foot for to build a house, right? Well, that's why I like you, Raging Patriot, because are you in California, by the way? Yeah, he's a 900 square foot home. I think my first apartment was like 800 square feet or something. It was small.
Okay, Raging Patriot. I'm in a 500 square foot apartment for that same amount. Well, almost that same amount. That's how bad it is where I'm at.
Yeah. So if I was paying $103 per square foot construction cost for a house, right? And say it's and I'm going to build a 3,000 square foot home, right? The construction cost of that is not bad, right? But it's still higher than what the market will allow currently for that house to be sold for. Because I will have, let's just say I'll have 200 and something thousand in it by the time it's done. I can sell it for 400,000, but between the interest on the loan, all the fees, everything else, it just doesn't. The math doesn't match. So now at the end of the day, I just don't make enough money per house. So the construction companies, obviously jack the cost up. So I don't know, man. It's a tough gig. I don't know where you're going to get affordable housing from because nobody's building small houses right now.
That's kind of funny you mentioned that because I'm actually, and I know it's complicated, but I'm actually looking at tiny homes, and those are starting to become more and more popular. Obviously, you have zoning; you have to put it where the zoning is appropriate, and you still have to pay for hookups and things like that. But honestly, I'm in a 500 square foot apartment right now, paying $850 a month. You know, I'd rather buy a tiny home and pay that same amount. However, Cam the King mentions seeing renting is giving away money and not getting anything from it. That is true. However, the typical rate of return on investment for owning a home is, I think, something like 3%. Obviously, lately we had that huge jump, things like that. And depending on what your views are on it coming down. However, if you are renting, you have more discretionary money to invest, and you can earn a fairly significant higher rate of return on that investment versus a home. So while there is something to be said about kind of blowing money renting, you also get to keep a lot of your money to invest as well. Okay, they are gay, but so is renting a 500 square foot
Tiny
apartment
homes
for
are
$850.
are for TikTok videos to make girls go, ooh, so cute, and nothing else. Nothing else. Look, so I actually told somebody this the other day. If you want to live cheap, if you're in an area that you can do this. Now I don't know if you can do it in Michigan because it's so cold, but in like in Tennessee, and I actually have a buddy of mine doing this right now in Texas. So a buddy of mine gets divorced. He had cheated. She had proof. She took his ass to the cleaners. Um, she had a great divorce lawyer in Texas, and she cleaned his ass out. As honestly, I kind of feel like he deserved a little bit, if I'm not lying, because he's a horn dog. He shouldn't have gotten married. You're gonna stick your dick in that much crazy, just don't get married to any of it. And but he did, and he was looking for a place to live and stay, and of course he's got all these bills to pay, and um, it was kind of at the middle of COVID, so he was on a more of a fixed income than usual, and so he's looking at everything. He just can't make a decision. And he ends up um, one of somebody told him, like I tell people all the time, you should go live on a boat in the marina. There's a lot of reasons for that, but in this case, it was hey, the marina's cheap and they have everything you need there. There's if you don't have a shower on the boat, there's always a decent bathhouse. There's supplies there. You can a lot of times there's a restaurant in the marina, so you can eat breakfast or whatever most of the time. So it's pretty nice. It's not a bad way to live. It's like living in an apartment, but different. And if you don't like the neighborhood, you can just move because it floats. And anyway, so he actually was looking for a boat, and somebody had one for like super cheap, selling it for super cheap. And he went and looked at it, and the guy was like, "Hey, I have to get it out of the slip like today. Do you want the boat or not?" And he goes, "I don't know. I don't have a lot of money." The guy's like, "I'll give it to you for free right now. Just get it out of here." The guy got it.
Nice.
And apparently that's like a real thing. I didn't know this, but apparently it's a real thing because a lot of times larger sailboats don't come with trailers, and the cost them is tremendously expensive. I mean, to move them cost a tremendous amount, and so you know it was easy. So he lives on a sailboat in Texas, and I almost lived on a sailboat here in Tennessee when I was in college. So I would not live in a travel trailer. You know, they're not meant for full time living. I would find a live aboard boat and live aboard the boat because they're designed to be lived aboard for months at a time. So most of them. But whatever. I mean, there's a lot of cheap ways to live if you really need to live cheap. I just always thought living on a boat would be super cool.
Now you're giving me some new ideas. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I don't like tiny homes. Tiny homes are a great idea until all of the crap that goes wrong with them happens, right? Like, first of all, they're usually built on stupid cheap trailers, so you have like sagging. There's a limit to how much weight you can put on them. Then, yeah, if you want to move them, a lot of so the way I did not know this, by the way, but I don't care how well they build the trailer. If you move it, it will twist. And anything you have inside, you can have walls bow, you can have beams crack, you can have all kinds of stuff.
Most of the ones I've looked at are land based. I'm pretty sure they go on like concrete slab.
Oh, look there, Cam the King is selling a boat. So, yeah, see, there you go. And but yeah, I think it's a I think that I had a buddy of mine when I was in college, and he was kind of a weird guy, and he had a Mercedes camper that had been imported from Panama. It had actually like been all over Panama and Colombia. It had done this like giant South American tour, and these people had lived in it for months and months and months. And then when they got back, they just sort of parked it in a shed, a barn, and it sat there for years. And the guy bought it. My buddy bought it and completely restored it, and it came out amazing. And some guy gave him a ton of money for it. But I actually I had two choices. I had two choices, and one, I had a 46 Brill, but was it 46? No, it might have been a 44. It doesn't matter. A Brill. I had an AC Brill bus. It was all. They were really cool because they were all aluminum, and they were built by Brill had been a airplane fuselage supplier. Like they supplied airplane parts during the war effort. And when the war ended, they just kind of shifted over to making buses. So the buses were really made kind of like an airplane, and they used the 6-cylinder motor from the Sherman tank. The same motor, 600 cubic inch, 6-cylinder motor. Think about that for a minute.
That's kind of cool.
It was cool. And it was manual transmission, 3-speed. They would do like 75, 80 miles an hour. But it would do it. It just didn't care. Uphill, downhill, sideways, didn't matter. When I got it, it had been a race fuel hauler for that this guy had in his business, supplying race fuel at different racetracks all across the country. And so it had been stripped completely out inside, and it just had basically places to put these barrels and their equipment. And so I finished stripping it back out. I had it's a great story. I didn't realize it, but aluminum. I thought I was going to end up having to spend like tons of money spraying or getting the paint, all the old paint and stuff off of this thing. But we just used some MEK and that kind of thing, and just kind of wiped most of the old paint off. And then the most of the bus was just oxidized aluminum, and I thought I was going to have to polish it, but I took it to an agriculture place where they clean dairy trailers, and had it washed with the hydrochloric or whatever acid. that they were using, and the bus came out like shot, like it was so shy, it was ridiculous. It looked like like a milk trailer after they do that to it, and it looked great. And then so I sectioned it off into rooms because it was already kind of set up to do that. I had a king size bed in the back bedroom. I had a hallway with a shower on one side. We went down to Louisiana to a shipbreakers and bought a shower that had been on some kind of boat, but it was all one unit, right? It's all like an RV shower, but different and pretty well made. And then I bought a spiral staircase that went up through the top, and I bought a kind of a desk that was meant to go against a curved wall, and it didn't really fit the side of the bus, but I made it fit, and it was really good. And so I fitted that out to live in it if I had to, because at the time I was dating this girl, and we did live together, but she was nuts, and I just figured at some point I was going to end up living in my bus, and so the bus was cool, and you could park it in any RV lot, had all the RV hookups and everything, so it was nice.
Yeah, I thought about doing the RV thing for a while. That'd be kind of cool, but you got the hookups, you got maintenance on it, and all that stuff too. But yeah, it's an interesting thought.
I think so. Normal RVs, I wouldn't want to try and live in because they're just not made for it, and they're only made for weekending, right? They're not made to live in for months on end. But like an old tour bus, if you could find an old tour bus for, whatever you can afford, maybe $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. It's a better. I mean, it's a great. It's better than buying. It's better than buying almost anything else, because
You think you could find an old tour bus for $40,000?
oh yeah, I probably can do it within the hour.
Wow.
There's tons of them out there, and once they get old, nobody wants them. Right? Like nobody wants
maintenance on them.
Yeah, everybody wants a new one. Well, everybody wants a new one. So so I had a plan in place where I owned about an acre, and I figured at the end of the day, if the absolute worst happened, I could park my bus on my property. So yeah, you can, but regular RVs are just not. I wouldn't live in a regular RV, but you can buy, like, even if you just, I don't know how handy you are, but even if you bought like and see, the problem is you're up in the Rust Belt, so you'd have to buy something in the South or whatever. But you could buy like a regular bus. The thing about a bus is they're meant to run for fucking ever, right? Because cities, they're commercial vehicles.
Mile wise, yeah.
Yeah, the thing about an RV is they're not. And they're just absolutely terrible. Like, I've never known anyone that's owned an RV that has not spent tons of money just in maintenance. I actually I have a friend of mine who was living in one for about a year, and she didn't drive all the time. She spent a lot of time in campgrounds, but over the course of her driving around the country from like Texas to Wyoming to California, back again a couple of times, that's not even that many miles, right? It's not like she's did 100,000 miles in it. And this was a travel trailer. This wasn't even like an RV. This was just a travel trailer. She had to have the axles done like 2 or 3 times. It was always like blowing a tire. It always had an axle issue. It always had brake issues, whatever. Cam the King's bus was the first hunting blind he ever had in Colorado. Bought one not running for $625. Parked it, tore it down, out my little buddy heater, put his little buddy heater in it, and made it work. Yeah, that's it. You can find box truck. Yeah, right. You can find box trucks and more on the market. So did you hear about the guy at Google? This was fucking awesome, by the way.
No.
So this kid gets out of college, right? And he has he has a job at Google, but he has massive amounts of student loans. Mass amounts, right? Because he had to have enough school to get a job at Google, and I want to say he had like $125 to $180,000 in student loans. So and Google's in the Bay Area, like it's like a normal apartment there is like $3,000 a month, and it's just super expensive. So he bought a U-Haul, an old U-Haul truck. Basically had the sides done in just plain white, just looked like just a plain delivery truck, anybody's delivery truck. And he put a bed in it and a light. And I think he might have had an air conditioner, I'm not sure, and a heater. But he didn't do any of that. And so what he ended up he didn't use that. He parked it in the parking lot at Google. And so he could get out. He had all of his clothes, everything, and he lived in the parking lot at Google. And because at Google on campus, they have showers, right? They have entertainment. He could watch TV on his laptop. He had great Wi-Fi for free, right? And so he's just like, he charged his phone at work all day. He charged his laptop at work all day for free. I really don't need anything.
He brought the commune to the communists.
Right. Yeah, he's like, I don't, and he doesn't cook. He went out to eat for all of his meals, or he ate on campus at Google. And he was able to basically put all of his earnings split between, savings and paying off his student loan.
I mean, it's creative. I have also heard of people with money living like homeless people, so I mean, it's not unheard of, but
yeah, there was a story of a woman, I think in New York, living in her car because she didn't want to pay housing costs, but she had $1 million in the bank.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the same, but a similar concept for me. I have the money to spend on it. I'm not going to spend a ton of money on something that, is going to blow my money. It's not the responsible thing to do. So,
right. The Google guy Google guy is like one of the most innovative because he literally spent no money on anything.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even spend money on gas. He didn't have campground fees. He didn't have any of that. He's like, if he went out on a date, which he was too busy to date because he was at Google, but he said, if I did go out on a date, he just rents a hotel room and the girl thinks that he's doing something like super nice because he can afford to rent a really nice hotel room, right?
Right. Yep.
Like, hey, this is a really special thing, and
like, why haven't I been to your home yet?
Yeah.
Oh well,
well, you don't want to go there.
Some work done on it,
It's California, it's a bad neighborhood. You don't want to go there. Let's go to this super nice, safe hotel instead. So, Raging Patriot says, I lived in my truck for a few months due to shacking up with a crazy chick gone wrong.
Wow.
I was literally preparing for that. It never happened. I never ended up using my bus. I ended up selling it. And now I want it back. Like there's actually a Brill newsletter, and I've been looking for my bus to pop up somewhere, and it just has never done it. Like well, first of all, I didn't realize they were collectible, and I sold it way too cheap. And because I was young, right? I was dumb. I was stupid. I didn't know. So I sold it too cheap. They're super uber collectible buses, and I didn't know that. It was my home. It was going to be my home. I had like the spiral staircase in it that went up to a hatch on the roof, so you didn't have to climb up the ladder on the back. You could go out and go up onto the roof of the bus and have your coffee in the morning. It's great. It was good. It was really cool. I spent like a whole summer fucking that thing up. It's really good.
Sounds Sounds like Raging Patriot has a story to tell. It should be your next episode.
Yeah. Well, I think most men have either spent the night in their car a few times or lived in an odd location because of some female activity somewhere. Right. Like, I didn't do it, but I was prepared to. And I was prepared to based on watching other people's relationships. Like, you know, just because your name's on the lease doesn't mean you want to go back there. Right. Like just at some point you're just like, yeah, whatever. You call and say, hey, I've got to move out. And you pay the fee and you cut bait and run. You know what I'm saying? So always have your own place. You can kick crazy out of the house when crazy gets too crazy.
I think most married men at least call that camping.
Yeah, we used to call it camping. Now it's just survival. Just another Canadian says he stayed in a Ford Focus for a few months before I worked 14-hour days. I just wanted the money for a hotel instead. That's funny. So I actually worked for a guy who moved here from somewhere in the Middle East and via the UK. He went to the UK first and he came to the US. He's a really nice guy, Albert Mirko. He passed a few years ago. And but he when he first got to California, obviously California is very expensive, and he would tell us a story of how he bought a station wagon, and he worked for Bruce Canepa at Canepa Designs, which is a very prestigious firm. They do high end work, mostly on Porsches, but they have their own line of semi trucks, or race haulers and shit like that. And he told me that he was so poor when he got here that he bought a station wagon for like no money and lived in it, and he would have McDonald's. He would buy a hamburger every day for dinner. So he would eat lunch at the shop because they provided some food for lunch, and he would I don't know if he had breakfast at all, but he would then do what was it? He would eat McDonald's for dinner. He'd buy a hamburger every day, and he would buy fries every other day. And we're talking about this was like 50 cents. Right? Like a hamburger was 50 cents and fries were like it was $1.
Yeah.
This is how cheap this dude was living, but he saved enough money and got a place, and then he ended up going into insurance after a while and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, Are We Not Men is right. McDonald's is for rich people now. It's
Cyber
crazy.
Andy chimes in. Hey, welcome, Cyber Andy. I didn't see it. In 2007, McDonald's had a Sunday deal, 10-cent cheeseburgers. I would buy 40 of them and eat them throughout the week. That is awesome. That is awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Did you guys ever have Hot Now down there?
What's that?
Did you guys ever have a Hot Now down there?
Hot Now?
Hot Now.
No.
It was a restaurant here. I don't know if it was just in the Midwest or what, but it used to be super cheap. Probably around, let's say 2000 somewhere ended, but in the 80s and 90s, it was huge. And it was like 39-cent burgers.
Yeah.
It was crazy. That ended, but
McDonald's.
It was awesome.
I went to McDonald's a week or so ago. I hadn't been there in a while, right? So I didn't know what to expect. For like one person, it was like $18.
It's crazy.
I was like, this is fucking McDonald's, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Big Mac.
Well, but they're making their quote living wage now, hopefully. Now that no one wants to.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, raising the salary to $15 an hour had no effect on the price of the.
Yeah, it's crazy expensive now.
Yeah. No effect at all, though.
No.
Nobody could have called. No, you know what, guys? Nobody could have called this that the price of the food would increase to damn near going out to eat. Well, actually, it is at going out to eat prices, but it's it's fucking fast food.
Yeah, you get the price of feeling like eating classy, but not the food
Yeah,
or the
but
service.
you're really eating trashy.
Yeah.
I hadn't been to McDonald's in a while. I was like, holy crap, this is nuts.
I used to go there just for the $1 pops, and now they're like over $2, or I think it might even be $3. I don't know. It's like you go get a 2-liter for that price.
Yeah. Any what was it? It was any drink, any size of any drink was $1.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. No. Yeah, it's crazy. But hey man, the world is doing great.
Nothing wrong here. Nothing to see.
That is great.
Remember when Janet Yellen said inflation was transitory, and as soon as because she always lies. Like every time she speaks, 10 years later you find out it's a lie. So pretty much just guarantee that whatever she says is going to be the opposite. And so when she said inflation was going to be transitory, I'm like, oh, here we go. And it was nothing but bad after that.
Right. Yeah. Silly people. I just don't understand how people couldn't. Oh wait, I was not watching the time. Sorry guys. I just realized it's 2:00. I'm really shocked. I do have my ringer turned off, so my wife can't.
I sent you a private message saying that because I wasn't sure if you knew, but you probably didn't see that either.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry. But yes, I need to. I got to jump off, guys. I hate to end the show so abruptly, but I've got things to do, and I will catch you guys Wednesday night at 8:00, 8:05 actually. And it's been a good show. Really relaxed today. Really kind of chills. Good talking to you, Michigan Christian or MC. Haven't seen you on in a while, and I assume that you were just working a lot. And
yeah, I got a lot going on, just working and such.
Yeah, you should calm down a little bit. So.
I appreciate you having me on. As always, it was good talk. So.
Yeah, man, it's a great talk. And a lot of the stuff that you talked about, I think, is really, really good. So, guys, do the like, subscribe, share. Sharing is caring. And, I guess we should do that. We should care. Maybe. I don't know. But please share. And you guys all have a great rest of your day. I really am sorry that I can't hang out. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here, and you're going to have to get off my lawn. We're going to close this out with one of my favorite clips from Andrew Wilson laughing his ass off. See you guys.
Yeah, now I just answered your question. Can you tell me what epistemology means?
Epistemology is the study of the epistles. I mean, you can. I told you that a husband and wife is supposed to be the representation of God and the church. He said he's a husband. I asked him if he sees himself as the embodiment of God, and he said no. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what is the epistles?
The epistles are the apostles. Are you talking about the apostles?